Okay, there we go. Hey James, how's it going? Justin? Debbie? Renee? Okay, my video in the stream manager on Twitch is just off enough that it's going to really just mess with me, so I'm going to hide the player. Cool, I'm going to give this like a little bit. I mean, I have the jacket. I'm supposed like it just lives in my house now. So, just going to take full advantage of that. It is a great jacket, and like part of what I'm going to talk about tonight is the jacket, because why not? Hello, hello. I'm going to give this like a few minutes before I dive in too much. Again, like why not have the jacket on? Because again, it lives in my house. It's like 10 pounds. Let's do it. Again, just giving this like a couple minutes for people to join in before I like launch into stuff. Theoretically, this is going to be recording, so people can watch it like 2 weeks later if they want to. But Jen did a great one of these, Shai did a great one of these, Renee did a great one of these, and I did a lot of mystery hunt stuff, and I still need to blog about a bunch of it, so hopefully this helps me mentally collect my thoughts on the stuff I haven't talked about yet. Oh, yes, Justin did the best of them. Justin kicked things off. Thank you for the reminder. No, Justin's was so thorough and all of the things. Justin didn't record his because he was like playing. He had like a bunch of copyright material. I will totally be still be streaming at 8 p.m. time MIT probably. I did not set an end time for this, just having seen how long the other ones have gone. Let's see. Let's see. Can everybody hear me okay? I have my microphone here, but I have no clue how much like if the volume is too loud or whatever. Sound is great. That's great to hear. Okay, cool. I've finished my tea. I grabbed a big thing of seltzer, so let's get going. That was just like a standard lemon zinger, so just lemon with like some hibiscus in the mix. Yes, crack into that crispy boy. Um, uh, this is unrelated to any mystery hunt stuff, but the polar seltzer winter flavors are great. Highly recommended. This is the I got one of the upside down plum that I think is my favorite of those. Anyways, let's crack into this. Hello, everybody. I'm Ben Smith. I'm part of the team from Palindrome who made this year's mystery hunt. And I really should put the book space title slide up on this, but I didn't. So, oh well. Let's talk about me. Who am I? Who is this guy? So, amongst my many things, I am one of the vice presidents of the National Puzzlers League. I have been following Mystery Hunt since 2004, when I was a sophomore in high school. I have been, well, and by following it, I mean I was like literally following it after it would happen every January, and would take a look at the puzzles and couldn't quite crack into them. And now I know better about how they work and why that was maybe so. I have been solving mystery hunts since 2011. I moved to Boston in 2010, and actually part of the reason why I moved to Boston was the idea that I could potentially do the mystery hunt in person. That seemed kind of cool. I have been solving with Palindrome since 2013, and like that happened. I was solving with, I believe, what became part of Death and Mayhem before they merged, and then after a couple years with them, I went over to Palindrome. I met Jenny Gupazal at MIT Square Dancing Club, and she invited me to Palindrome, and the rest is history. Primarily, I am Palindrome's cookie guy. Is I just bring cookies because that way, I figured even if I couldn't contribute to the puzzles, I could at least feed the team, and that just sort of stuck. Oh yeah, answering for the chat. That yeah, sophomore is like 10th grade, so like second year of high school. So I've been following Mystery Hunt for a while, and I've been wanting to write for it basically since I've been following it. So I wasn't sure if we were ever going to get that chance. So like I like had weirdly made mental peace with that last year, and then immediately we won. It was like, oh, okay, cool. This is such a gift, and accordingly, I wasn't sure if I was ever going to get to do it again. So I sort of went really hard at doing it because why not? I need to adjust my OBS so I can see the full chat thing. Oh yeah, they chose to accept cookies. Yes. Well, I mean, I'm also like a half decent solver of puzzles, it turns out. So, anyways, let's continue. Once I figure out which of my many windows I put the slides in. Here's the stuff I did in the mystery hunt this year. It's a big list. I was part of the initial theme committee that decided on the theme. I did a bunch of collaborating on meta puzzles. I don't really feel like I wrote them. I'll get to that. But I did a lot of testing, and I had a lot of fun in our little meta puzzle test silo group because we had a lot of great collaboration there. I did a bunch of writing puzzles. I did a bunch of editing puzzles. I helped punch up the talk scripts because I really love the Phantom Toll Booth and wanted to make sure that we represent that part of the book well. And then I also did a bunch of stuff with the ministers. Renee and I wrote the ministers, and then I did a lot of coordinating with actually getting those filmed and getting all of our live ministers trained and ready to go, and sort of making sure we had minister teams, that sort of things. I did some costumes and prop stuff, as you can tell. We'll get to that because that is the main thing that I saw in the YouTube chat during wrap up. Was just like, where's the jacket? Can I get the jacket? I can tell you how to make it. Is this a costume? I mean, it's also just part of my wardrobe now. Slightly unwieldy, but hey. Hey, Tin Horn. Let's see. So I was one of two swag captains. I was the one on the East Coast. We also have one on the West Coast, and we are working together to get everybody their wonderful pins and coins and things like that, and T-shirts and extra copies of Where the Wild Things Are. So you will be hearing from us shortly if you've ordered any of those, and things will be leaving my house soon. I did a bunch of post-prod. Like, I was trying to quantify how much post-prod I did, and I looked at the counts today, and it's a lot. Oh, it's hard to read the shirt. Yeah, the shirt says "Ally means take action." It's from a company called Raygun, based out of the Midwest. They make awesome shirts. They're super comfy and super progressive and super Midwestern. And then I did a bunch of the setup for YouTube things that happened for the hunt, largely related to post-prod, so uploading a lot of video, uploading a lot of subtitles, but just sort of making sure we had that infrastructure in place. And then I got roped into acting in the end game because we needed somebody on campus, and I was that person. So just a lot of things. But again, I acted as though I was never going to get the chance to write Mystery Hunt again, so I wanted to just like fully throw myself into the process. Cool. So let's talk about some stuff. It is Ben. Hello. Okay, so let's talk about the theme. So I was like, the first thing that you do when you're writing a mystery hunt is you figure out the theme. I like had no intention of really writing something. I didn't have like a strong theme idea, but I wanted to practice it. So when we were making initial theme pitches, I pulled something together and like was try like we set out, here's what we want the first round of themes to have, and figured out something kind of riffing on John Boyce's 1770-76 because I was just obsessed with it at the time. And like the reason I'm mentioning this is because I have no intention of ever developing that as a mystery hunt theme. By the by the midpoint, it was cool, but like it was mostly just an aesthetic choice. And I think it could have been. I think aesthetically it could have been cool, but like by the time I was like midway through writing the pitch for that, uh, I was sick of it, and I didn't like. I was praying it did not make our top five because I was just done with it mentally. And if it had gotten through the top five, I would have had to think about it further, and I didn't want to think about it further. Apologies to people who like that theme. Uh, like it had some legs, but like I don't think like there were other pitches that I liked so much more. Like by the time that we had everybody's pitches, like my own theme was like 12th on the list of however many we had. We are talking about 17776. I'm really looking forward to part two of the follow up whenever John Boyce decides to drop that on us. I will be there with bells on. These bells, probably. But yeah, so after that, we got that down to five themes. I'm pretty sure I was pretty sure I was in chats for all of them, just like, what if we did this? What if we did this? Because again, there were like, we had a lot of really good theme pitches. I will not mention any of them here because, hey, that's in the back pocket for somebody who wants to write a different event or the next time we do Mystery Hunt. Who knows? Good theme. What will Mystery Hunt look like in the future? Guess what? That was what my pitch was. Uh, Feel free to run with that though, because I think there is an interesting concept there. And again, if you have like the full John Boy's zooming through Google Earth aesthetic, I will love it particularly. Anyways, we developed those themes further. We got down to three final themes, and then I was part of the committee that sort of talked through all the themes and selected like amongst three very good pitches, any of which could have been good, into what would the final one would be. And like I don't remember all the details, but like book space just felt like it had a lot of legs in terms of creativity and places we could go. It also felt like it was a nice tie-in to MIT's campus if we utilized the actual libraries there, which that felt really important to me just because MIT lets us take over their campus essentially and has for over 40 years. So having something tied in with that felt very special. Let's see. And then after that, we started doing meta puzzles. My brain doesn't write meta puzzles. I just write normal puzzles. I am always in awe of people who can go, here's a meta. Like I've tried writing metas before, and they've been fine. But I much prefer to like be in the room and collaborate on those and go, oh, you could have this answer instead. So I'm great at finding feeders, but like writing metas is tricky. But I had a lot of fun with our little cohort. Like Jen was a great leader on meta stuff and sort of really challenging us and like getting to be in the room for things like when we figured out the introspection meta because I immediately piped up as somebody who wanted to sneak a Eurovision puzzle into Hunt with, hey, do you know it has 26 things every year? The grand final of the Eurovision Song Contest. We should use that. And then also, I mean, some contributions like I think turned into the Barker meta. Like I know that I'm in like there's like a bunch of us who are credited on that one. I don't remember. Oh yeah, I also stopped Jen from writing puzzles with 26 answers. I was like, that is insane. That is a nightmare. This is a great idea, but also let's think about that a little bit. But just like being in the room when that meta came to be, being in the room when the Ministry meta also showed up was just like delightful to be part of. But yeah, writing puzzles with 26 different answers from the like getting the text set up for introspection was tricky enough. But yeah, it's just like I had initially said I didn't want to be on meta teams, and then I ended like with so many things at Mystery. I'm like, I'm not sure I want to do that. But then when it turns out if I'm not doing it, I do want to be in the room. Uh, but yeah, just like so many good ideas, and like some of them didn't even make it through. I think we had some really clever stuff, and it was just a matter of a good balance between everybody who was pitching things, figuring out what genres work best, figuring out what similar mechanics needed to be shaken out. But like it was just a lot of fun to be part of that, even if like I was mostly there to just sort of be the team cheerleader and test solve things when they popped up. So on to like the major area I contributed in Hunt was just like writing stuff is somehow like is like I feel like I've written some puzzles, but I haven't written a lot of puzzles, or as many as I would like to for things that are like puzzle hunty. So this was a chance to really just sort of dig into the big list of ideas I had been building in a text file of just like what ideas have I had for Mystery Hunt, uh, what, and then going back through that email and figuring out okay what of these are interesting data sets that need a mechanic, what of these are things that are aesthetic, are things that I want to replicate the look of, and like how do I figure out which of these what of these can I combine, what of these are worth playing with, and what of these are just things that feel like a fun visual but maybe aren't actually a good puzzle. And that is what I spent a bunch of time doing, is going through my own notes, and some of them became the puzzles on the sheet, and a lot of these sort of just came out. Oh no, a handful of dishes is missing. Ah man, that was one I was going to specifically talk about. So okay, we'll come back to that. I knew I was missing something when I pulled this together. How did I miss that one? Just pretend it's there. Like I definitely. Oh man, yeah, yeah, because I pulled the Quest Coast thing. I just forgot to do a handful of dishes. We'll talk about that one in particular. Yeah, there's a lot, and like when we were like there was I know that there was a point in the writing process, but not but before the final. I think it was before we actually had the plot device and like all the people on the plot device wrote a bunch of stuff. Where I think I was third in number of puzzles, and like I didn't. Most of these are co-writes. Is like that was my goal during Hunt. Is I wanted to co-write with as many people as I could, and specifically try to co-write with people I haven't written with before, because I've written a few baffles, a few Boston area puzzle hunts with some people that I co-wrote here, but I also just wanted to like get as many people that I hadn't written with before and either write with them or edit with them, and generally just sort of collaborate, because that's what I like to do as a writer is work with others. I work best when I bounce ideas off of other people and find something between us. But yeah, so this I did manage to get photos of all the different rounds I had stuff in, and it's a lot. But like I can like if people in the chat have any specifics they would like me to talk about, I will talk about a handful of dishes first, because I managed to forget to put it on this sheet, because like that was one of the ideas that was in my list of ideas I wanted to do something for Mystery Hunt. Is there's a podcast, Reply All, where they occasionally have this super tech support section where they try to figure out people's stuff. And one of the more intriguing ones was they had an episode where somebody's car stereo was having problems when they tried to play certain podcasts. And they had narrowed it down to it being something to a character in the title of a podcast. So they made a bunch of fake podcasts in order to diagnose what it was. And one of them was a fake podcast with Samin Nosrat called. I can talk about Lentilgram. But the other idea was this podcast called Less Than Greater Than About, or something like that they got Samin Nosrat to record a fake episode of with them. And when they chatted with her, it was a podcast where they completely did they were making clafouti, but they weren't using exact measurements. They were talking about, well, you need less than this, or you need more than this, or about this much. And then like I listened to that because they released all the episodes, so I listened to that. I was like, this is a great idea for a Mystery Hunt puzzle, and that was great. And I talked with Debbie about it because I'm like, okay, we're both food people. We can write a good recipe puzzle, and figured out like then we had an answer pop up. And by the way, spoilers. I'm talking about this event that happened. Yeah, Debbie and I both wildly cook with a sort of use however much is in your heart measurement. Is like I got very good at like my parents taught me how to cook by eye in terms of things like teaspoons and tablespoonfuls. So things like that was very easy. But when we had the answer Taste the Nation pop up in the round, I was like, well, this is perfect. And like you could do something with national dishes or dishes that really only align with one specific area, which can get tricky because there are lots of dishes that theoretically come from one country, but it's like a geographical thing. So like 7 different nations have a claim on it. But like we did our research, we had like a decent swath of recipes, and then I started with one of the recipes that's actually on the solution page for that one, Rumaije's Khartoum, which is this Latvian dessert that's like really good. It's like a trifle, but you make it with rye bread. And the so I took that one as like a pilot for okay, how would you do this as a script for a podcast? It's the most scripted I've ever done a podcast before. So like writing, Debbie and I sort of took the list of recipes once we had found a bunch of things that we could align with one country. Wrote the scripts, and then because I wanted to specifically make a fake podcast because that appealed to me as somebody who has a real podcast. Uh, it just sort of followed that this would be a real podcast, so it would need to be ready to be live at least 14 weeks before Hunt started. So over the summer, we recorded all of the episodes, and then I went to my kitchen and I made fake sound effects for all the chopping and the blending and the things like that. Please go listen to the podcast. I'm really, really proud of the audio on it. There is so much garlic chat happening in the chat, and I love all of it. But yeah, the idea was to have it be a real podcast that was happening in the lead up to Hunt, just to see what would happen, and just because the idea of getting to look at the chart of podcast downloads after the fact just amused me greatly. And it turns out, and as somebody who does enough podcasting to know that, especially in subcategories, it goes like I just wanted to see if we would chart anywhere, just because, especially in non-US markets, if you have subcategories that you put your podcast under, like say how to, you can see it rise. So we were number 16 in Malaysia for a brief second with a with a fake podcast. Well, that's technically a real podcast. There are 14 episodes. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, did some fun audio editing, and we had like a secondary like test Solvapalooza / retreat weekend in the fall that I literally just sat down and finished doing the audio on all the episodes. Oh yeah, I made real sound effects. Like I wasn't making the stuff we were actually talking about, but I was like literally making something pancake-esque so that we had the sound of putting batter in a pan and having it fry. I had some onions I chopped up and fried. There's some very good sound effects work in that. I'm very pleased with that. But like, and like, I just like the idea of just having the puzzle page itself just be like, you can listen to this podcast anywhere you get your podcast, and having somebody go and see that there are 14 episodes of a thing. And that's going to be online at Simplecast for at least another month. There is a post-Hunt version of it that just has all of the audio files on the page, just because I don't want to pay podcast hosting for that forever. I might move it to like something like Libsyn, where I think it's free. But for now, that was very fun, and like it was again very fun to just come in on like Sunday and see that like 436 people had downloaded an episode and be like, oh yay. Let's see. So what else do people want me to talk about? I know I saw a Lentilgram. Oh yeah, creating experiences for the solvers to discover. Yeah, like I apparently like doing sort of long-term puzzle projects, because I have this, and then you have Crowfax 3000, which was another one I needed to finish early because I wanted to have all 104 tweets post in get posted one per day before Hunt, which meant that they had to be ready at least 100 something days before Hunt. So again, I like doing little time release things. But yeah, like I like having things that people find after the fact or find elsewhere. So that was a lot of fun to sort of stick there. Let's see. So I know that there was a request for Lentilgram. We will obviously talk about Heart and Peace Sign. I have been sitting on Eurovision as a puzzle data set for close to a decade and being very quiet about it around puzzle people, which is somebody who has a podcast about that. That's very tricky. But no, like Lentilgram came out of the answers we had for the self-help round. Like I was like we had a initial set of tasks that solvers were going to be performing that changed over the course of the year. Oh, we can talk about garlic, Renee. I also use too much of it. That's the best way. Um, but no, Lentilgram had an initial set of tasks, and I was just very good at writing to that set of tasks. I had 3 different puzzles, and I'm pretty sure they're the tasks that were written about in the initial pitch for that round. And like Lentilgram, we had one that was capture one of your team in a Pokeball, and then like last spring, new Pokemon Snap came out. I had it on my Switch, and it's really great. I missed that one too of like something with the list of old palindrome names, but it was good. But with Lentilgram, we have Joe Cabrera on our team. He is a Pokemon obsessive. It's great. I wanted to specifically write something with him that was Pokemon related, and like new Pokemon Switch came out. I was like, Joe, have you played new Pokemon Switch yet? Have you played new Pokemon Switch yet? And he hadn't. And I was like, this is great. This has like a set of requests that feels like a puzzle. And like then just sort of sat down, and like a lot of what I do with puzzle stuff is just sort of finding a good data set and doing the processing required, and then sort of collaborating from there if I find a good data set and how to make the puzzle work. And like on one like the way that it shook out, that started out as an idea that I was discussing with him at the National Puzzlers League convention in DC, where like we were hanging out in like a Au Bon Pain or like some other like quick little sandwichy place while it was dumping rain outside. I was like, okay, here's the idea I have for a Pokemon puzzle with Snap. And like initially, I was trying to mash up new Pokemon Snap with like the Thanos Snap and have like a set of photos where like whatever the subject of the photo was sort of dissolving, a la Mr. Stark, I don't feel so well. And the idea is like when you first landed on that puzzle page, you would hear that large snap, and like all the photos would have that snap applied to them. That felt I couldn't figure out how to do that from a tech perspective, and also it felt like how do you handle that for everybody who approaches the page? How do you generally, just like how do you make that work? And like it felt like I was trying to apply that to the rest of the like I built too many pieces on that puzzle, and then my editor Matt Kleinman was like, I don't think you need this. I don't think this adds anything, and he was absolutely correct. It would have been funny, yes, but like I think what it ended up being I really liked, and like at that point like Joe suggested why not have it look like Instagram, and like that's when it became Lentilgram. Was okay, we just have the photos as they are, we crop them to a square. You have some sort of indication of a caption, you have likes, you have comments, like that sort of helped it snap into place. Haha, snap. But like was the puzzle largely an excuse for me to like play Pokemon Snap and say I was working on hunt stuff? Yes. All of the photos in that are ones that I took while playing the game and completing all the challenges. I literally took the full list of requests and was sort of processing. Does this, like what? Okay, so from this big list of tasks, can I rewrite the title of this in a way that feels like a clue? Oh yeah, Justin would just regularly see me. Ben Smith is playing Pokemon Snap. But yeah, the so it turned into like the figuring out how to rename all of the challenges in Snap, and then seeing, okay, if I rewrite this, what words can I extract out of this from left to right, as though the letters themselves have been snapped out of it. So once I had that down, I had got that down to like 100 something of like 200 something requests I could do that with, and then just for cleanness' sake, picked one from each sector of Lentil. that ended up working out really nicely. Got it down to like a final set that I liked, and like if you knew that it was new Pokemon Snap and you knew about the requests, you could completely bypass part of the puzzle. Uh, but you could completely bypass part of the puzzle, but that just felt like a bonus thing. Like we had people on the team who were not making the immediate connection that Snap had some requests. That's how the flavor text got in there. But like I didn't see people. I saw some people mention that they were able to sort of shortcut that, and like that didn't bother me because like if you're on the same wavelength as me, that should just be a bonus. That should just be a feather in your cap. Yay, you solved the puzzle faster. And anyways, that's how that one happened. Is that like I just wanted to do a Pokemon puzzle with Joe, and I was very good at. It's like I just did a bunch of the data processing work, and he had some great feedback on the back end of just like, okay, we should make this look like Instagram, and like he did all of the work taking my initial Pokemon Snap photos and making that into Instagram things. He did a beautiful job, and then just some of the little cleanup things that we did like in the post prod sector of things, just making sure that that puzzle really was its best self. But no, any others? And like just walking through these, Splinter is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles puzzle in Star Rats. Uh, Mike had seen me doing some tweets, knows that I like tweets about that. Like a lot of like there's a shocking number of puzzles that are just me shit posting on Twitter and then realizing, oh no, this is a puzzle idea. Because Splinter is that. Splinter is me finding things with turtle cadence. Uh, the Nonsense Show, Jen specifically reached out to me. Is like, hello, I have seen that you have done William Carlos Williams posts on Twitter a lot. Would you like to do that for a puzzle? And of course, I said yes. And like at that point, I was like mentally blocked on at least two other puzzles, and like the process of just going, okay, how do you turn William Carlos Williams's "This Is Just to Say" into a puzzle, and that like just happened in like an hour and a half, and I was and like just like unstuck me on like two other things, so it was great. Oh yeah, yeah. Joe is Toonhead, but like not everybody is NPL here, so I can't just say Toonhead because it's Joe Cabrera. But no, Sparks Notes was a great like Sparks Notes came out of Shy and I. Well, me just going to Shy and be like, I want to write a puzzle together. He mentioned he had just seen the documentary about the band Sparks, and let's see, yeah, just like the Sunday, yeah, just like he had just seen the documentary on the band Sparks, and I was like, okay, cool. Here's a complete joke idea of something we could do of just like we're playing a clip of a song, and you have to determine if it's whether Ron Mail, who is one of the members of the band, either has the toothbrush mustache that he has for like part of the band's history as a dot, or a pencil mustache, which is long, for dashes, and just using that as Morse code. There were a number of reasons we couldn't use that as use Morse within New Orleans, particularly because it fed into the meta, and also that wouldn't have worked. It was a very funny idea, but it wouldn't have worked. And so it turned into just sort of the very abstract album covers of Sparks Notes, and I really like how that one came together because like that one I was like, is this gonna work? And then in the first test solve it did, and then in the second test solve it did. Trust Nobody. I have wanted to write a Dutch mole puzzle for a couple of years, and specifically Mike Nothinkel and I love that show. And that was just me also constantly posting on Twitter about the weird sentences Duolingo gives you. And Dutch, it turns out, has a lot of interesting false friends, or words that look like different English words. So that was just sort of a nice, fun twist on that puzzle. And just getting lots of different feedback of people who love that show, going, "Oh my gosh, this popped up in the mystery hunt. This is great." Has just made my day. We'll come back to the Eurovision puzzle just because I have a lot to say on that. Let's see. My Dinner with Big Boy. That one came together because we needed to swap answers for the scavenger hunt. Book reports. Yeah, book reports. We had an initial idea for the scavenger hunt that I think became the movie task behind Big Boy. But we needed like it felt like we needed some kind of scavenger hunty thing. I got looped in on that, and like I had wanted to write a Taskmaster puzzle, but the Taskmaster puzzle that happened a few like in 2019 is just so canonical that like our editors in chief were like, okay, like, you're not really doing anything new with this data set. So like that one I and like on it, it's like I like the idea that Jenna and I had for the Taskmaster puzzle, but like I like what we did with book reports better. And like just watching people react positively to that scavenger hunt idea has also been great. Uh, but but also somehow when we were planning the scavenger hunt, I did not think we were going to start getting entries on Friday. I thought, okay, we're releasing it early, but people are going to have to do all of these things. So clearly we won't get any entries until Saturday. And I was so wrong. We were getting entries when Jen was coming up to campus on Friday. So I was like, oh no. And started evaluating them in the sheet so that once she got here, she could start doing the calls with y'all. And they just did not stop. And like, on one hand, just seeing when someone would perfectly nail what we had imagined for the various essays and term papers was so good. Like there was a 30-second lip sync to the Beatles' Her Majesty that was just exquisite. Like I'm like, yes, this is exactly what the essay for this was. And then just seeing what tasks people did a lot of was interesting. Seeing what tasks nobody did was also interesting because like we had loved the how to win friends and influence people task, and nobody did that. And like, fair. But just like little things like just seeing multiple people send us videos of making chicken soup while acting as they were possessed by chicken was very great. I also did not watch a ton of Friends, and I think we maybe just made like I think we just made that one a little bit too complex. But like it felt very fun to get like a little bit of a spaghetti puzzle in there. But yeah, nobody wanted our spaghetti, and that's fine. Speaking of spaghetti, Sunday dinner was great. I was originally the editor on that puzzle, and then ended up working with Foggy enough on that he's like, you did a lot with the audio and added the audio layer. Oh, the old scavenger hunt behalf of it. Yeah, that was we had a different task for deep work that involved digging a hole, and there wasn't that much difference between the 5 point and the 10 point version, and we were just like, okay, we can't have people dig the hole for the 5 point one because that's a lot of work. But then Jen pointed out, oh hey, we should just have them do an old scavenger hunt and not link to it because that's the deep work is like having to look up what was the 1994 scavenger hunt. Aha, yeah, the Baba Is You one was easier. Yeah, and I think there were enough tasks that, especially if your team was like 15 people, there were enough like 5 point tasks that were easy enough that you didn't have to even hit any of the weirder ones. But Sunday dinner just existed as scripts. There was suggestion of making it audio, and like I was prepared to like pull out my finest Will Shortz impression, which it turns out is terrible, having listened to the audio for both sides. Particularly the side where I'm supposed to be playing Will Shortz. But I was just like, I can email Will and see if he's up for this. And Foggy was like, sure. And like again, I think Eric has mentioned that like in reaching out to Weird Al, he wrote out he spent like so much time writing the email, and then Weird Al immediately emailed back, sure. I spent so much time writing an email to Will Shortz being like, hi, this is the puzzle. Here's what we're doing. It's kind of mashing up the NPR Sunday puzzle with the New York Times Sunday puzzle. And here's the script, and like just let me know if you'd be up for this, and I can figure out a time to do the Zoom. And then again, like 5 minutes later, it's like sounds fun. So like a few days later, just like got on the Zoom with Will, and we read through everything, and then scheduled a bunch of other palindrome members. We had June play June, that felt right. But just sort of reached out to a bunch of people, had a bunch of other quick little Zooms, and cut together the audio for that. And like that, the audio for that was very fun. Of just sort of of just sort of erasing myself from both halves. I'm kind of the ghost in the machine on that one. This is now a puzzle was very fun to throw together. We had at the time we had one answer remaining. We were told that this round is running a little bit tricky. We want something that's like maybe no more than an hour, and like it was like the day after we had dropped the first teaser poster, Justin was seeing all of the various people coming in with, is it okay, but is it a puzzle? And I think we had like when we were doing like initial hunt writing brainstorming stuff, someone had suggested the idea of this is now a puzzle. So saw Jen and Steve Kaltenbaugh and like a few other people in our general chat room just being like, ha ha ha, this could be a puzzle, and then like immediately opened a side chat. I was like, hello, what if we made this a puzzle? And like just made it very image manipulaty. I love things like EXIF data, so the fact we were able to work that in and have things get triggered on the registration site, so once it's unlocked for you, it unlocked a series of clues there. Like, it was meant to be sort of a cleansing sorbet of a puzzle between some of the meatier courses in that round, and it was just watching people test solve that was fun. I still kind of can't believe that we got that idea approved. I did not believe it. I'm like, okay, we're submitting this, but this is a very silly idea. And like it felt like it was definitely bending the rule of this is not a puzzle, meaning this is not a puzzle. But it did that in a fun way, and I think like if you know the rules, you can bend them a little bit, and I think that we did that there. Dice Turkey Hash, I like all of the puzzle content behind that is Gavin Edwards, who did a fantastic job with that. I like my one main regret with swag stuff is that by the time I got involved, we couldn't move everything that was swag into the first half of the hunt. So that one's just like we sent a bunch of people some very cool dice for a puzzle they probably didn't open until after hunt. But hopefully they will go and solo solve it, because like that one is remarkably complex. But I did all of the work in making those dice actual dice in terms of like finding all of the images off of the Noun project to take the various like copyright infringing things that were on like the first versions of the dice and test solving and go, let's find things that we can actually put on the dice without the company that produces them telling us no. Let's see. Just looking through the rest of the list. Crowfax. I love Mystery Science Theater. Mystery Science Theater is also a puzzle I'd wanted to write something about for Hunt. And Jen and I love Crowfax from 2014, so that felt like a really good merger of ideas. And I think Will Zamboli had mentioned to me, what if you did Crowfax, but Crow was Crow T Robot? And then Jen and I figured out a way to make that happen. And there's a wonderful moment in that puzzle where you get through the texting portion of things and think that the puzzle is done, and it's as though a terrible door has opened. And I really wanted teens when they landed on the Twitter page to just have a moment of panic that, oh no, there are 3,000 of these, aren't there? And they're not. There's 104, which is still a very large number. But like I'm delighted with how that puzzle turned out. And again, just sort of having to schedule tweets for that puzzle in like a marathon session was worth the effort, even if we did apparently have a typo on one. We did so much proofreading. Let's see. Oh, I have not talked about the Eurovision puzzle. That was like literally one of the first puzzles I submitted in our puzzle tracker once we were done with meta stuff, and I knew that there was a slot for a Eurovision puzzle. It's a data set I've kept an eye on. I literally have a podcast about it that is currently weekly. In addition to writing Hunt, I did a podcast that was for half of the year weekly and half of the year every other week. Actually, like twice monthly when it's not Eurovision season. But so it's a data set I know and love and really wanted to do something with. And once we had the task figured out to perform a Eurovision song pastiche, it made sense. Oh yeah, we should use the word fortnightly, but yeah, like sometimes the podcast isn't every 2 weeks. The podcast is twice a month. Anyways, once we had the task settled as making a pastiche, I didn't want teams sending us pastiches without having watched Love, Love, Peace, Peace. So, what better way to make sure that the teams have watched Love, Love, Peace, Peace than to write a puzzle about Love, Love, Peace, Peace? Which YouTube for a while was anytime I watched anything immediately sending me to that due to the number of times I watched it while writing the puzzle. Semi-monthly. See, there are words for this. Anyways, the podcast is currently weekly. It's like we are about to head into a lot of national final season. I had potentially, like, the initial idea I had pitched and got approved was doing something with songs that had placed second in their national final, and then you would have to identify the song that actually got sent to Eurovision and where it placed. But that didn't feel, that felt very, it felt like it was going to be a lot of digging for teams that wasn't going to be particularly fun digging. And Love Love Peace Peace is just a way better data set, even if it meant that I couldn't fit in like Verka Serduka and like some of the other acts I really like. So what I ended up doing is Love Love Peace Peace references about 21 or 22 different entries. So worked from those, like, okay, how can I get the letters I want? Tried a few different encodings. The one that ended up working best was just sort of doing consonant and vowel patterns, getting teams to have the aha about love, love, peace, peace. Like, why am I using these symbols to represent things? And yeah, the how with national flags. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting data you can do with Eurovision. I'm very excited to see what other Eurovision puzzles people write now. But with this one, for a long time, it was only an audio puzzle. It was in the process of post-prodding things, where I was like, wait a minute, this needs to be a video puzzle. This is going to be like this is gonna make that connection so much easier if I'm not making teams have to make a jump from audio to video. And I don't think it lost anything in the final extraction. My editor on that one was great because I had an editor who knows nothing about Eurovision. That I was like, okay, how do I have teams extract from this in a way that makes sense? And they were the one who was like, why don't you just have why don't you just have two different tones in the video? I mean, I assumed that this year's Eurovision puzzle was going to be for like 10 people tops, and I keep getting people who just loved it, and it keeps popping up in everybody's write-ups. So I'm just write-ups as even if they didn't know about Eurovision beforehand, they're saying they're going to check it out because of that puzzle, which is like honestly my goal. But for like the three people who, when they saw that I was on the mystery hunt team, were expecting that from me, every one of them sent me a message either in like a Twitter DM or like a Discord chat, just like, "Hi, you wrote this puzzle, didn't you?" And that was a very good feeling too. But yeah, no, it's absolutely fitting for Mystery Hunt to have a puzzle about an annual event where the winner has to host the next year. But no, there is 65 years of data there. There's plenty of other things that can be mined there. Yeah, I have been very quiet about that data set, and I said in my write up about the puzzles I wrote, I am so excited to see what other people do with it because again, it's very rich. There was a puzzle in either the first or second Galactic Hunt that was about Eurovision, and my team saw it, identified that it was about Eurovision, and literally set it aside for me in our little Google sheet, which is very nice of them. But the problem is that I know too much, and I then immediately filled the sheet with way more data than we needed, and we went down so many blind alleys because of that. Oh yeah, no, like I figured, like I at the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, what puzzles are people expecting from me? How can I make that happen? And like the other one I was like a cookie puzzle, so like Magically Delicious was the cookie puzzle because my initial idea for a cookie puzzle was a little too similar to what Galactic had done with the cookie clicker hunt, like Mega Meta, where I wanted to do something. Like my joke was I was like, I want to bake cookies for everybody at Mystery Hunt. How can I do that? I was like, oh, web cookies. Måneskin performed at New Year's Rockin' Eve this year. They also performed at SNL last night, and that got announced while I was at Mystery Hunt, and it was great because it meant that my podcast host couldn't talk about it while I was away. So later this week, you get to hear me talk about that if you subscribe to the Euro What. I mean, not a commonly known thing for the USA. On the other hand, we're currently trying to make the American Song Contest happen, and that's gonna dive bomb. I have theories about like why it's getting more well known in the last decade. I've discussed most of them on the podcast, but basically the rise of streaming technology has made it much easier to watch a global event like that was previously really only confined to international broadcasting regions there. It's like way easier to stream international stuff now. Like I have literally like 12 different apps on my Apple TV that allow me to watch Lithuanian television and Danish television and Icelandic television for free. Anyways, the Magically Delicious came out of, okay, so I can't do something with web cookies because it's really too close to what Galactic did with web cookies. The so I had wanted to do something with Great British Bake Off as well, which like there was a puzzle in Galactic's Hunt last year that utilized GBBO, and that was fun. Make it just like reading through the technical instructions, like, oh, this is asking us to make sugar cookies. But yeah, like I had very specifically noted like I wanted to do something with the technical challenges because it's a set of names that were given a very specific place for doing the same thing, so that was easy to do. And I collaborated with Debbie Levinson again. Neither of us really writes logic puzzles, so that was a fun experience for both of us, like writing that logic puzzle. Uh, Also, a lot of people entered in GBBO biscuits the second that they got it, and we maybe should have written a pseudo hint for that. But like that felt like it felt like if you're getting GBBO biscuits, you should check two columns over in your spreadsheet, and if you read down, you will also have ignore seasons, and that should really trip you off that something else is happening there. Because underneath the hood, you can look at the names and be like, oh, these are all names of Bake Off people. I wonder why. Like, I had to do a lot of data diving to get one person for every season that got us to a clue phrase that would lead to tongue. Like we had like 12 letters to work with. We tried many different things, many different clues, lots of which didn't work, and then just trying to figure out, okay, how can I have one person from each season that gets in there, and that ended up working out. I mean, Eurovision and baseball have their own strengths. They're very different things. But yes, if you get a meaningful thing, why look for another meaningful thing? Because it's Mystery Hunt. Like, we're gonna give you just a normal logic puzzle at Mystery Hunt? No. Let's see. I think I have. Well, I mean, I've talked about most of the puzzles. Like Ada Twist Scientist. Jenny Gutbazal and I wrote that. Jenny Gutbazal and I have sort of like a signature as puzzle writers that we always include a reference to Xanadu, the worst of 1980s disco musicals, I think. Which 1980, a primo year for the disco musical. There are three. The Apple, which is the best. Everybody should watch The Apple. I think it's still on Amazon streaming. Can't Stop the Music, which is a biopic of the Village People, that tries to avoid the part where they're gay, and then Xanadu, which has Olivia Newton-John and ELO both in their imperial phase and just does not nail it. Anyways, uh, don't watch the movie Xanadu. It's real bad. Like it's worse than I remembered the last time I saw it. But we throw a reference into whenever we write a puzzle together. She wanted to write a Xanadu puzzle. I'm like, I have written two of those, and there is no more in that well. That turned into a clue for Gene Kelly, who is in his final role in that movie. Starlight Express was an 80s musical, but it was not a disco musical released in 1980 on film. Are there any other questions on puzzles? Oh wait, I didn't mention how to have it all. I wanted to write a puzzle with Justin, and he wanted to write a puzzle about pangrams, and we made it work. And like I liked that one a lot. I wrote a Python script to help us take the final group of pangrams we settled on and get us all of our letter counts and all of our word bank. Oh, and then Salt and Pepper Diner. That came out of a love of John Mulaney, as one can tell. And then uh, like Mike and Sandy had that idea, and exactly who wouldn't want to write puzzle with Justin? Like that was it's like and like I had loved all of his puzzles that he had written elsewhere in the hunt. Like there was just such a great like visual sense to them. Everybody should be sad they didn't get to write a puzzle with Justin, but he did so much beautiful work for the hunt. But Salt and Pepper Diner, I still have a folder on my desktop that says deranged Tom Jones samples because in the first draft of that puzzle, I literally took the woes from What's New Pussycat and separated them into their component woes and tried to assemble the various lengths we needed from there. And it did not test well. It did not test well because people could not count how many woes there were, so we had to figure out how to standardize that. So we ended up making it sound like a record is skipping. And that one, just watch it. Like, my primary contributions on the puzzle were doing all the audio editing. Like, a lot of the puzzles that were primarily audio, I did a bunch of audio editing on them. And then helping fill the jukebox with songs that start with certain letters is like, if you look through the jukebox, it is very much Mike Nothnagel and I's taste reflected there. Oh yeah, yeah. The acrostic with the song titles in the jukebox. Everybody's like clipping that first. That's why we made it a message to tell you what to not to do. Yeah, those woes were real confusing. Yeah, no, the early versions of that were very rough, but we got it to a place where it worked. Okay, I think I have talked about most of these at this point. If there, and like if there are questions, throw them in chat. I will handle them as they pop up. But in addition to writing puzzles, I did a bunch of editing puzzles. Like I wrote 18 puzzles, I think, and then I edited like an additional 19 officially, and then like I had various people be like, "Hey, can you take a look at this?" for like probably like a handful more. There's a full list of the stuff. Like I just did a post yesterday about stuff I edited, and then, like a bunch of other puzzles that 69 shows. There were like the writing process on that is like I did like with Ada Twist is I did a bunch like in a children's book puzzle. Yes, but it's Mystery Hunt. Mystery Hunt's not for children. Well, not explicitly for children, anyways. But I mean that was like I did not all of my clues made it, but I probably had a hand in that one. For Frank Langella, I really wanted to do a clue about him playing Skeletor in He-Man and the whatever of the universe. And it got cut down because my co-author thought I was being disrespectful. Like, no, I love that he chooses the scenery. It's what makes the film. But yeah, like I edited like 19 other puzzles. I generally had like a pretty light hand as an editor, just because so many of oh yeah, it's no go the fuck to sleep. Yeah, no, like that one, Foggy was like, I need an editor, and like I reached out. He was like, do you have a problem with strong language? I'm like, no, I would like to work on the strong language puzzle. But like yeah, I tried to have a fairly light hand as an editor. Like typically, I just wanted to help make a puzzle like the best version of itself it could be. Like I really love Steve Kaltenbach wrote a puzzle called Cruel, where like as an editor I was like, what if you also interlace the clues? And like I just love the way that that one turned out. It doesn't feel like it was a super hard puzzle, but it was like a super satisfying puzzle. And just seeing like people come in and really like it just made me very happy. Like I wrote a bunch of puzzles, but like the puzzles I edited also felt like things I'd help produce for the hunt, because I just wanted to, again, I wanted to collaborate with people I hadn't written with before and really help nurture their ideas, particularly for the solvers we didn't have, like who hadn't written as much as like somebody like me or like other people on our team, because we have some real powerhouses, but just getting to see every all the little small ideas blossom into wonderful puzzles was great. I'm trying to think of other stuff I edited and really, really enjoyed as an editor, and there are just so many cool ideas this hunt, and like there are puzzles like Swing In where I somehow missed the writing of that, the testing of that, the post prod of that, and I just discovered it when we were doing a run through of Hunt, going, oh, this is the type of puzzle I love at Hunt, where like I would find it and get to solve it like by myself or with one other person for an hour and feel very satisfied. But watching the number of hints come in for Ada Twist of people who just had not experienced ternary or just were like trying to figure out what we meant by like something. I forget how we clued double entendre, but that one was particularly tricky for people. But yeah, let's see. So that is sort of like as an editor, like that was I was just really pleased with how editing went and getting to work with so many great people and figure out how we could make their ideas good together. I'm oh right, I forgot that you were working on that, Akumo. I'm glad I didn't spoil that element for you, but yeah, there. So like I mentioned, I helped out with the scripts for Talk. Uh, those were primarily written by Jenny Gutbazal and Eric Berlin. They did a great job with sort of the story beats we needed to hit for solvers. Jenny knows that like I love Phantom Tollbooth. Like that was one of the like in the initial pitch for Bookspace. One thing I loved is that it really had a tie-in with the Phantom Tollbooth, but also felt like it was taking it in a different direction. And like I love that book. I have previously discussed a theme pitch for that book that I think Tyler Crosby on our team had pitched that. And so having Talk come in as a character is great. And like again, Jenny knew that I knew the book pretty well. She's like, "Can you look over these scripts and sort of make sure Talk sounds like Talk?" So like I literally speed read the book that night. It's a like it's like a middle grade book. It's great. It's like 100 something pages. Highly recommend it. There's an okay animated version of it. But just little bits of punch up to figure out, okay, what are the character beats of Talk? He's a watchdog. He is a dog that is also a watch. He is a brother. He's obsessed with time. He hates time being wasted, that sort of thing. So just really sort of hitting those beats. I I kind of like half remember, like there's part of the script where he mentions a bunch of fantasy lands you can go to. I thought I had like struck Hogwarts out of the script just because J.K. Rowling is terrible, but apparently that made it back in. Uh, but like overall, like I really like how that part of things turned out, and like that was one area I worked with on script stuff. That was mostly just punch up and sort of coming in after and just looking at a very good script and just making sure that our talk was book talk. The other area that I did writing on, the ministers. Uh, oh yeah, Dave did an amazing job on the actual puppetry of Talk and just sort of bringing that character to life. I got to record him for Sunday dinner, and that was great. Yeah, and then I did the ministers primarily with Renee, who is in the chat, and like during the I missed the initial writing meeting, and I got to the second one, and Jenny was saying that for the ministers, we really wanted to have like one or two people write them so that they had sort of a unified voice, and a bunch of the other writing that needed to happen had like for the various parts of Penn Station had already been picked off by people, and I wanted like a larger project. So I saw that Renee had signed up to write the ministers, and I very quickly messaged her. I was like, "Hi, do you want a buddy?" And she did want a buddy, and like we had a great time uh, writing all of the ministers and figuring them out, and sort of like we sort of sat down. We're like, okay, we need to have these be distinct characters that have some kind of wardrobe thing that like multiple people can sort of easily pick up and have be a visual representation that, oh, this person is Dewey, this person is Barker, this person is one of the Roach brothers. And like also secretly I had like from the beginning knowing that we had a music minister, it's like, okay, I want to play them because I already have the Mr. Music outfit, and B, I don't know, I was like I know this character. It's like I wanted to be like a mashup of Mr. Music from the Sack Lunch Bunch special. I wanted it to be hints of Mr. B Natural from Mystery Science Theater, and oh yeah, no, this particular GIF. I'm pretty sure Aaron made this one from the B-roll I sent him of like, hey, this one's gonna have just a lot of air drumming just in case you need it, because like he sent this one, yeah. So like I threw that one on top of like the base image. It's yeah is so Renee and I wrote all these and sort of went through some revisions, trying to make sure we have the all of the important story things we needed to hit. We were initially trying to do this as something that didn't involve the solvers. That was just you were sort of covertly listening in on this, and Eric rightly came back and told us, no, this needs to involve the solvers. They need to be part of this. So we wrote a version that included them on the call, and it was correct. It's much better. Rehearsing this was tricky. These two, like the intro video and the end video with the ministers, we had our 6 members of the cast. Yeah, Eric was just like, please just actually talk to the solvers, and it was correct. But yeah, just so we had like a couple zooms where as a team of 6 people, we read through the script, we talked through the reactions, and we recorded essentially a storyboard so that our editor Aaron knew, because we had to record all these videos solo but have it feel like we were all on the same like Zoom call, and that was tricky. What ended up so we recorded a scratch version that I then quickly edited to get a version out to the team of just like, okay, here's the timings you need. Renee did her stuff in the park, it's great. Everybody else did a version with like the full timings where like I was an insane person. I was like writing down the timings that I did, or like writing down approximate timings of when I had to do things, and then trying to have a list and a timer in front of me and hit those notes, and that's insane. Nobody should do that. Don't do hard mode. I told Renee what I was trying to do, and like I was like panicking. I'm like, everybody needs to record every line separately. We're gonna have to piece it together. It's gonna be fine. And she wisely told me, "What are you doing?" And what I ended up doing is just sort of setting up in this space, like literally like put a green screen that barely fits across this room. Had like my camera here, had my computer here playing the audio as quietly as possible so that I could actually record on time. Like I made a version of the video that that had all of my lines muted out of it. And that ended up working. We still did some like one takes of each of the lines just so that those could cut in later. But yeah, is like I was just like, again, just like, this is why collaborators are good, because collaborators can go, you're doing this in an insane way, we should do this in a non-insane way. But we did a recording. I think all of that happened like end of October. And then live stuff, got all of our stuff recorded so that our editor had plenty of time to like cut it all together and make it look nice. And then had to coordinate all of our live ministers towards the end of December, start of January. Yeah, we recorded the separate lines anyway. I think that was good because that allowed us to have the coverage we needed. But yeah, like live ministers was great. We ended up having, I want to say somewhere in the neighborhood of like 16 people. What I ended up, like, I sort of took over all of the minister stuff in terms of coordinating and getting things. All of that was great because then what I ended up doing was just like putting everybody in teams of 2 or 3, because that way we had like 3 East Coast teams of people that could go do the 2 minister version of the ending of things with the team during our like heaviest period of like teams completing the ministry. And then we had our wonderful team Australia, who were covering that portion of things for like overnights, and having them on like overnights when they're relatively fresh as opposed to like me at 3 a.m. was great. Thank you, Renee and Team Australia. We also had a West Coast team that was able to handle some of the later night hours. So if you got a team of Roach and Dewey, that was likely California. I was ready. Matt Kleiman, who I worked with on swag stuff, emailed me. Was like, hey, I can do either Roach or Lewis. And I was like, are you sure about Lewis? It's like, I had a budget plan for this jacket of just like, okay, you're gonna need to order this jacket. You're gonna need to get a gold Sharpie and a bunch of felt. But like it all ended up, but ultimately it looked like I needed more Roaches. So he ended up playing Roach, which is a little bit easier. I ended up being the only Lewis, and I think that was fine. I am a night owl. I was there anyways. But it all turned out. I was very pleased with the interactions. We had the full team video ready to go for a team on the off chance we were just like super stacked and just like did not have a chance to get things to people. And I think we only had to deploy that a few times, and it was largely just because we were reaching out to a team and they were not getting back to us for like 20 minutes. So I'm very pleased with that. Just putting people in teams made so much sense because that way we can send two people, and we Renee and I wrote versions of the end of Ministry script for every combination of either a Roach brother and either Dewey, Lewis, or Hayden, and a Roach brother and a Barker and Dewey, Lewis, or Hayden. So we had versions of all those. We were ready to write an Oops All Roach Brothers script. Well, and as somebody who is good at being extroverted at Mystery Hunt, but is generally an introvert, I made sure that like my team, I had our other introvert, our other person, our Barker, who I'm like, you're gonna need to charge your batteries too, and like that ended up working out. So like, I like in the heat of hunt, I have a lot of adrenaline and like I am ready to go. I was having a great time just sort of blasting Queen at people. But like also there was a lot of like downtime on Saturday where it's like I'm really glad that I'm just in a quiet classroom, just sort of keeping an eye on the queue. So it worked out. Yeah, I think the full team video like landed on your video page around the same time that we sent out the Zoom link. So like it ended up working. I guess yeah, it could be a little confusing if you've got both, but like it felt really important. Like we were doing a lot of pre-taping on video. I think part of that was just because coordinating a live interaction for each of those felt like it was going to be very difficult. I would have loved to have more live interactions, but it felt very important to at least have the ministers be a live element and have some interaction because that's always been an important part of Hunt for me. And like I had the best time doing Zoom interactions with Justin on Friday night, just because we got goofy. We got real goofy with teams. He was great at like noticing people's Zoom backgrounds and just running while I was like admitting everybody to the Zoom room. It was great. We had some great material about Evanescence. We had some great material about Doja Cat that was just wasted on the team that we gave it to. But like it was, I just had the best time as somebody who is like I am very happy to follow someone's lead in an improv scene. So like it was great. Anyways, enough of this beautiful gif of me air drumming the hell out of this. And also, like, I just had like the best time just seeing teams that thought that like the audio from this had been done in post. Just like, no, this makes noise. And then one thing with Lewis's video is that Jenny Gupazal had loaned me a bunch of instruments for that, and like I ended up using none of them because it made way more sense to just take a pair of the mallets from one of the two xylophones that got dismantled for this to happen, and just play it live because that was way more fun and made way more sense when I went back and rewatched Mr. Music. Let's see. So that was the Ministers. I had a lot of fun with those as somebody who hasn't done a lot of like writing in this sense. Like figuring out how that worked and watching it actually work was great. I also did costumes and props for Mystery Hunt. Like I got to utilize so many different creative muscles over the course of the last year. And it's sort of just really exciting to be able to like kind of brag about them for a second. So I built this is part of the plot device. I won't say what part of the plot device it is for spoiler reasons. But it's a toaster made out of a thesaurus. And like I had like when we had figured out the pieces of the plot device, the like I had the vision of what this needed to look like. I had claimed it and was like, okay, does anybody on the team have a large, unwieldy book that they're fine with me not returning to them in books form? Yeah, spoiler-free answer phrase. Anyway, but and like I don't know, like my aesthetic as like a builder of stuff like this is I really like things like Mystery Science Theater where you can see the things that things are made of. So I wanted this to be kind of cartoony and kind of very obviously a book that has had stuff applied to it, and then built out the toast. No, a toaster did not have to die. The cord is my local Goodwill just has like a shelf that's just cords from things, and that whatever was supposed to plug into them no longer exists. So I just picked up one of those for like $1, cut off the end of it, and like was able to glue it to some wood and have it go to that. So like this is a book. This is a bunch of like sticky letters and some gold Sharpie, and the toast is foam core, like foam board, and a bunch of felt, which I think I have on the next slide. Yes, yeah. So Debbie Levinson graciously gave me this Webster's New World Dictionary. It's not actually a thesaurus. I was looking on eBay for a while and almost pushed the button on a few different ones, but like this ended up happening at the right time, and like just was able to flip it over to have like a nice clean blue surface. Did a lot of painting of little wooden cubes to get the handle and the feet, and then just sort of added a cord. Very carefully cut out the pages of the dictionary so that I had 2 slots. The dictionary was the dictionary got some reuse at MIT. But I was just very pleased with the toast as well. Just having looked at the script and like, okay, so it needs to be roughly identical toast. So I sent Katie and Kevin, who made the video for that one, just like, okay, so you guys need to determine which of these is whole wheat and which of these is wholemeal, and which of these is lingonberry and which of these is cowberry, etc. But yeah, so like that is the main prop I made. Is like I had a lot of fun building that and actually realizing sort of this from sketch to the actual thing. I spent a lot of time trying to like a lot of time literally sketching on the cover of the dictionary in pencil, trying to figure out, okay, can I do nice enough calligraphy evenly spaced through the letters? And then thankfully on like a final trip to Michael's, they had like a bunch of foam letters. Like they had a decent set of foam letters that had like a full set. So I was like, okay, I can probably just use these, and they're black, so I'll need to make them pop more. And just got like another gold Sharpie marker. And like that ended up working so well. And like the the plot device art is some of my favorite because it references Terry Gilliam's work for Monty Python, and like this felt like right at home with the aesthetic of that page, so I was just very pleased overall. Give me just a second. I've got like background music playing in my headphones, so I have something to do while I chat with all y'all. And my Italo disco mix just ended, so I gotta swap it over. Anyways, so that is the primary prop I made, and then of course the other major contribution to props and costumes is the Alexi Lewis costume. Let's see, favorite moments during the year. I mean, I was just like, just getting the Eurovision puzzle to work was very good. Just getting to see all of the beautiful art as it was coming through was very good. Oh yeah, no, Natalia Disc. Yeah, that's still on my list. I think is figure out how to do that. But yeah, but yes, the Alexi Lewis costume is a I was. It's not an exact replica, just because I velcroed these on instead of like properly sewing them on. And there are other places that, like I don't have the exact patches, but it's close enough in spirit. The Yes, it actually makes noise. It was not a That was not a special effect. I have made that was like the first blog post I wrote because I had already half written it back when I built this in September October of 2020 because I needed something to do with my hands other than doom scroll Twitter, and it felt and like dismantling 2 child-sized xylophones felt like a better use of my hands. The post I put up has where I found everything, including where to find the pants. I'm pretty sure these are the exact pants from the original. These are the same pants from the Mr. Music costume because I had been looking everywhere for like a pair of men's pants with roughly this stripe pattern. Could not find it, but the second that I put this jacket and the 2 xylophones in my cart, Amazon was like, "Do you also want to buy this suit. And the suit was slightly more than I wanted to pay for the pair of pants. I was like, yes, I do. Uh, like, I have no proof of this. I could probably tweet at the costume designer, but like, these have the exact same stripe pattern. I'm fairly certain this is what they used. But no, there's a link to the suit that these are part of. So I have a matching jacket and vest that goes with these pants, by the way. Because why would I get rid of those? When you have all of them on together, it's very BTS. But that's not really my. Although I think one of the memories I have from like running Hunt itself is like on Saturday, needing to go do a meal break, but not wanting to like fully have to change clothes again for like the second or third time that day. Just like taking off the. Oh, also, because this makes noise, just the level of farce of being in our main part of the Vannevar Bush room and trying to be very quiet as Jen was trying to do her stream portion of things for the first event, but also take off the jacket as quietly as possible was delightful. Also, picture this. You know, it makes noise. Going down a flight of stairs. I jingled everywhere I walked on campus. It was great. But anyways, so on Saturday, I needed to go get lunch. I did not want to like completely take the costume off. So like I took the jacket off. I took the shirt that was underneath the star print shirt that was underneath the jacket off. Just like had my Twilight Zone t-shirt and the pants. And then like put on my bright orange parka and like went down to get a pizza and was just like, I look homeless. I look like what is happening? Anyways, if you are interested in bringing in like building your own one of these, it is possible. And like I again like as a person who occasionally does like I grew up in Anoka, Minnesota. It is the Halloween capital of the world, so I feel like I have a certain obligation when it comes to Halloween to uphold that. So I'm is like I like building things where I can see what they're made out of. So I've previously done some stuff for Mystery Science Theater, which has that aesthetic. I have done this. I've done a couple Doctors Who as well, or just like it's like I have an eye for detail and stuff like this. I like doing it a lot, so I was very happy to make this work, and I've completely detailed all of the pieces I got for all the pieces I picked up for this on my blog, Good at Internet. Let's see, Debbie. I have done various variations of 10 and 11. For various Halloween parties, basically. At some point, I want to go to something like Dragon Con where I can like have this and like the Mystery Science Theater stuff I've done and like have that of just like the various things in a setting where it will be appreciated. But yeah, so like this was my main costuming thing. I was very proud of it, and again, got a real kick out of seeing the reactions on our final YouTube thing. I almost didn't wear that for I didn't wear it for our rehearsal of that, and then was like, screw it. I'm gonna wear this over the Mystery Hunt Writer shirt, and was very happy that I did. Okay, swag. Let's talk about swag. Uh, I I had so much fun helping the What's in the Box team make those boxes happen. I did feel like a slight pang of guilt when like people internationally started ordering that box, just because it was a box full of shredded paper that we mailed to people. Anyways, that happened, and again, just like the whole birthday card saga that I talked about at the wrap up was great. But also the dice. The dice were like a whole thing where we had to get that puzzle done by mid-November so we could order the dice so that the dice would get here in time, and then the dice got held up in customs for a week. And I had to call FedEx on the phone multiple times and had to email our vendor to be like, "Hi, FedEx says they need these forms. Can you get them these forms?" And it was a whole thing, and it took like our dice were like just hanging out in Alaska for a week, and then they got to me 2 days later, and they turned out beautifully. Like I said, if I could change one thing about how we did swag, is I should have like gotten involved in that earlier so that we could have had all of the swag be things that got opened up in the first half of the hunt with teams. Yeah, like I was yeah like we for the international teams that eat like we told teams that where shipping was an issue to reach out to us. For international teams, we generally told them to, if they wanted to order something, order the envelope, just because the envelope was going to be opened up in the first round of the hunt. Again, like in hindsight, totally would have tried to have all of the swag be happening in the investigation, the ministry, maybe New Orleans or Lake Erie, but no further than that, because that way the majority of people would see it. But in the first couple weeks of December, we assembled 400 little boxes. And I like one thing that popped up recently on Twitter was somebody was just repeating how terrible the family behind the company Uline is. Don't buy shipping supplies from Uline. They support fascists and fuck that. But and also there are so many alternatives. Like we went with East Coast Packaging, who were cheaper than Uline, and who shipped my order same day. I sent them an order like right before Thanksgiving, assuming they wouldn't get to it until after Thanksgiving. And they packed and shipped our 400 boxes the same day so quickly I tried to email them to have them hold our shipment, and they had already gone out. So, like, again, give them your money. Give other places that aren't Uline your money. I'm more than happy to consult and point you in the direction. But basically, like, don't give Uline your money. Also, don't give Jeff Bezos your money. Like, we're doing most of our shipping for post swag stuff with stuff that isn't from Amazon either. So just make your dollar go further. But amongst the photos here, just like packing all of the dice. I need to like get a new coat now so that the people at the post office near me just like can't identify me on site anymore, because I was that guy that brought in like 150 boxes multiple times. Oh yeah, don't give Amazon your money, he says on Twitch. You know what? It's very hard to not give Amazon your money, given AWS, given everything. But do your best. It's kind of impossible. Oh yeah, we already talked about the xylophone coat, June. But yeah, like we've got all of these. Yeah, we did so many crazy things with swag. Again, sending a team a shredded up birthday card was delightful. Currently dealing with all of the getting everybody their pins. I'm very excited to get everybody their pins. All of the things. Like I'm very proud of our success rate too. Like we had like a couple reships. Oh yeah, like we had to get the shredder for what's in the box from Amazon, but also it's because it was the only place we could buy the wrong type of shredder. We needed the wrong type of shredder for this. We don't want like a good modern shredder that makes it hard. We wanted like a crappy crosscut one. Yeah, because like Staples wanted like a dumb amount of money for it. It was like a whole thing. But that was a like that like we packed all of the boxes for that over the course of a day, just because we were bottlenecked by our shredder, because shredders are not built, it turns out, for people who want to shred 4 very specific pieces of paper, easily retrieve the pieces and put them someplace else. Shredders just want you to like dump all of your stuff and like eventually throw all the shreds, but like we had very specific needs for those shreds. But yeah, so that was swag, and that was great, and we are still doing swag. Please get your orders in for your things, because I want to send the things to you and not have them live in my house anymore. Post prod. I did a lot of post prod, and like this was one thing I said in our Ask Me Anything, is if I could do one thing different, it would be starting our post prod like at least a month, if not a month and a half in advance. Honestly, we should have gotten that queued up just because of all of the back and forth for post prod. Yeah, I did the most post prod. I post prodded 70 puzzles. I counted that today and was shocked. Generally, I'm pretty sure I post prodded everything that I wrote. I post-prodded most of the things that I edited. And then I just like, well, like a lot of the post prodding was like literally just me looking through what looked easy to post prod and like picking it up and knocking it out in like half an hour. I went on a business trip for work in last week of October when we had picked things up, and like while I was in the Netherlands, like I would work during the day, and I would do a little bit of like a couple hours of sightseeing afterwards. Would hang out with my coworkers, would get dinner, would get a beer, would come back to the hotel room, and because I'm a night owl anyways, would literally stream an episode of Mystery Science Theater to the TV in my hotel room and just sort of look through puzzles, go through, okay, what have I test solved and what looks like I can probably post prod it in like a half an hour. And like I am not the most skilled HTML person, but I know basic HTML and I know enough CSS to make a lot of our more standard puzzles happen. And like we needed somebody to be doing the more easy stuff so that our tech team could focus on the hard stuff. Yes, yeah, like I would, yeah, like towards the end of hunt prep stuff, I was getting a little stressed out just because everybody was coming back to me with like, "Hey, can you make this one last week?" And like finally, I was like, "Just put it in the spreadsheet so somebody else can handle it." But yeah, it's like, but yeah, like I was just like, for a while, I was in like a good groove of just like finding a Kevin puzzle because Kevin had so many puzzles, and he's and just sort of translating those into HTML was often either very simple or just like had a few questions to him, like, hey, what if this looked like a script? Nah. Okay, cool. I'll just type it as is. But yeah, so I got to, again, this was how I discovered like a lot of the hunt because like I had said something along the lines of, hey, ah man, I forgot to get a puzzle about the Yule lads in there, and then found out that we had a puzzle about the Icelandic Yule lads, my favorite 13 mischievous Christmas boys. Oh yeah, written by Kevin, post prod by Ben, or both. Well, especially because like I think at the end, like all in all, I think I was like fifth in the end of like who wrote the most. So like there, yeah, no, like if there like there was a very strong chance that if you encountered a puzzle at Mystery Hunt, I either wrote it, edited it, or post prodded it. And then the other area that I did a lot of work in is I had created a YouTube channel for all of our puzzles that needed video. That ended up being the hub for most of our. Oh, I just have a deep love of Iceland, and that's how I got into it. Is just like I'd been on a trip to Iceland and saw a post office box specifically for the Yule lads, and I was like, "Excuse me, what?" And again, it's 13 mischievous boys, one of whom comes to town every day, and also their mom is like a witch. So that's fun. Oh, and also all the Yule lads are like mostly food based, which is fun because like one of them like likes eating candles because candles used to be made of animal fat. Let's see, but yeah, so I was also just like uploading all of our videos and captions and things. Oh, it is a beautiful country, Debbie. If you do get a chance, let me know. I have so many recommendations. Also, that is my post hunt treat to myself. Is my girlfriend and I are going in March. But yeah, no, Reykjavik is like Reykjavik reminds me of like Duluth, Minnesota. In that it's like you can walk around it in like 45 minutes, and it's like right on the water, and it's just super walkable. But like you get 20 minutes outside on like any of their tours or just like driving or whatever, it's like being on a different planet, and like any geographical like feature that you want to see, waterfalls, got them. Glaciers, got them. Volcanoes, yes. Beaches with basalt columns, yes. But no, it's just a delightful area, and also just from a language nerd perspective, just the Icelandic language is fascinating because basically it's Old Norse that just evolved weird for like 500 years in different ways than Norwegian did. But yeah, anyways, I did a lot of post prod and like getting videos up and getting all of our all of the captions from our wonderful captioning team up there so that things were accessible, and just sort of figuring out all the things like checking all the videos that had copyright content to make sure that we could actually safely upload them to YouTube, It turns out it just wouldn't let us monetize things, which that's fair. We're not trying to I'm not trying to monetize this montage of Eurovision things. So it's fine that Corolla like won't let us monetize it. That's the one from Heart and Peace, which I used Heart and Peace as the example here just because that way I'm not spoiling somebody else's puzzle. This is what this looks like under the hood. A lot of emojis and non-breaking spaces. Let me see. Okay, I gotta figure. I have so many tabs open, you guys. Okay, endgame. Endgame stuff. Uh, One area that I had not planned on being involved, but then sort of got thrown into on Sunday is like I woke up. So during Hunt, I was on camp. I was typically getting to campus by like 9:30, and then was on campus either in like our one remote little classroom doing interactions or in our main HQ, just like fully masked the entire time of just like running stuff until like 2 or 2:30 in the morning because I am a night owl and a crazy person who likes being awake for as much of Mystery Hunt as possible. And so woke up, would go home at like 2:30 in the morning, immediately crawl under my way to my oh yeah, let's it out. Yeah, no, like that's just my brain. So like I think Hatter was the one who said that Lewis is just me. Lewis is just me doing a bad rap. Um, but like would get home at like 2:30 in the morning, immediately just like throw myself under my weighted blanket because that way like can't think when like I love my weighted blanket because with Hunt stuff, anytime that I was like stressed out, just like it just like crushing me like a benevolent snake. Can't have thoughts. So would like come home, immediately got in bed, would sleep until like 8 in the morning, immediately get myself ready, get back to campus. I left my Lewis stuff on campus because I was not going to cart that home every day. So just like would get to campus, would then get in costume, and then just be ready to go. But anyway, so on Sunday morning, woke up at 8, saw there was a lot of chatter in Discord. I was like, oh man, it's happening. Got my butt over to campus, and then like was like on the train checking my messages, being like, okay, we're over in the library now. So like went over to the library, got set up over there, and then Jen very graciously explained sort of the general structure for the endgame interaction to me like 7 times because my coffee had not yet kicked in. I was just sort of and like my brain had realized I was at Mystery Hunt, and so nothing was being committed to short term memory. So just like would be like, okay, Jen, can you walk me through the interaction one more time? Okay, but like so after we tell the team this, what do I need to do? And then what? Eventually, like the reason that I'm looking at my phone so much is because both Julia and I had written notes for like what the interaction was supposed to be on our phones because we were both just like ridiculously tired. Neither of us, like both of us need to be repeatedly told by our teams to go to bed. So that was great. Oh yeah, I this was the most I've slept at any mystery hunt in years, and I'm still just like not getting. Yeah, Julia was getting told by like our team and C-Tech Astronomy Total Landscaping, which was great. Anyways, so we ended up running that for like 5 different teams. I don't know. I just hung out in the library all day. It was great. Uh, and then like a fun note about the hat that I was wearing at wrap up. I don't know why I decided that what was going to distinguish me from Lewis was like wearing a hat, but that hat is a Beloit Skycarp hat, which pops up in minor differences. That was one of the many puzzles I post-prodded. It was the only puzzle I post-prodded where or post-prodding, we had to figure out how to modify it because the Beloit Snappers, which have a turtle mascot, had become the Beloit Skycarp. The Skycarp mascot is an angry Canadian goose with a rusty wrench. And I love it so much that I was like, I need this on a hat. So that was the hat that I was wearing at HQ and in wrap up. But yeah, no, there's like a sky. Well, Yeah, it's like a Canada goose, but like the sky carp is the notion of it's a goose that doesn't migrate for the winter. It just likes being in Beloit. Oh yeah, no, like go look up the Beloit sky carp. Like the second that the like Mike was like, "Hey Ben, bad news. We need to figure out how to adjust this for the puzzle. We also need to check if any other team mascots change by the end of the year because minor league teams that happens all the time. They rebrand." Uh, and and I was like, okay, cool. And then, like was just like googling to find out. And I was like, well, I have no affinities for the. I mean, yes, removing the jacket would also do it, but I had like an actual like button up shirt under the jacket, so like it couldn't have been that. It just need to be like our palindrome stuff. But no, the Skycarp logo is great, and again, they have like multiple different variations on it for like the goose head and stuff like this. Uh, but yeah, so like that was a fun part about doing that puzzle is like I have no real sports team affinities because I grew up with the Minnesota teams who generally just choke in the postseason. Oh yeah, Beloit. Yeah, there we go. Anyways, but like I have various minor league, like all of the minor league team names are the most fun ones because again, you have the Sky Carp, you have the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. Oh yeah, no. As Hatter points out, I'm basically Lewis, so you need to like it's like Clark Kent's glasses. But anyways, that is the extent of my contributions. Haha, so few of them. Are there any other questions? Because like we still got 20 minutes until 9. I can go until 9. Any other questions? What am I most thankful for? I don't know. Like I kind of. Oh wait, no. I have a wrap up slide. Wait a minute. I'm gonna put that up and then I'm gonna answer that question. Other final thoughts. I would absolutely do this all again. Like I had this. I got exactly. I got like I came into this. Uh, again, like I did not think I was gonna get the chance to write Mystery Hunt. I had made peace with that, and then when it happened, it felt like such a gift. So I would absolutely do all of this again, but not for like 2 to 3 years. Is like I would like a couple years off of not like completely giving my life over to Mystery Hunt. And the next time we do this, I'm not sure I'm going to go as crazy as I did. Just kidding. I know me. I'm going to go this crazy again, but it was. But no, like it was super rewarding. I feel super proud of what we did. Uh, yeah. If you like stuff like this, I highly recommend. Please join the NPL, puzzlers.org. Again, I mentioned I'm one of the VPs. Like if you like weird esoteric puzzles, welcome to Flats. Flats are puzzles in verse. But there's particularly we have a convention every July. This year's is going to be in Nashville. God willing, and the COVID don't rise. Uh, because we're just like it's like a like I get the same feeling from Mystery Hunt that I get from going to NPL convention, which is I get to spend a weekend uh, in the room with some of the smartest people uh, doing who are just like fully expressing their creativity. And just getting to see the wealth of their contributions and what they want to share with a room full of very smart, very nerdy people who like word games and the malleability of language. Um, oh yeah, like we are not just looking through the chat right now. We are not going to win next year. No, 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 no. Let's see. Have any ideas that survive Mystery Hunt? Oh yeah, no, I have things in my file that it was just like not the right time for either because it was like an all virtual hunt or just couldn't find an answer that felt good thematically with it. So like I still have things I would like to do that I'm keeping in my back pocket either for this or like again before we got the chance to do this I was like oh I don't have to wait for Mystery Hunt I can just figure out an event to write this puzzle for so like maybe that'll happen but I'm gonna keep those quiet for now because again, some of them are interesting data sets. Some of them are things that I want to just sort of mimic the aesthetic of, just because just like from a visual perspective, it amuses me. Let's see, looking through. But yeah, any ideas that surround mystery? Yeah, that yeah, there will be other stuff, whether it's for a baffle or for something else that I just throw together, or for NPL Con or for something else. But no, just like, but yeah, things I'm thankful for. I am like, I have specifically I wanted to win Mystery Hunt, but I specifically wanted to win Mystery Hunt with Palindrome because I wanted to see what we could create together, and I'm so thankful that we got to do that and that we seem to have emerged on the other side as a relatively whole team. And like, because I feel like I've seen so many teams where they have just sort of ended the year and we're just really sniping at one another, and I think that we've largely escaped that, and I think that we've largely had a good experience. uh, this is truly just, it's a beautiful hunt. I'm so happy that people seem to have enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. But I'm also thankful that now I can just go back to baking and just sort of reading books, which I have not done a lot of for the last 6 months. Like this weekend, I got to make cookies again, and like these have lavender in them, which is not something I baked with before, and like it worked. But no, like Justin, like with reading books, like I noted, I like that is, yes, that is the main thing that I know. Like I noticed, like I was baking less, and I noticed that I was reading less. Is that I read a lot of books on a yearly basis, but like I would like thanks to Goodreads, I've been tracking my reading, and like I was regularly getting to between 150 and 200 books a year because I read very quickly and I just read very voraciously. And last year I barely cracked 150, which is still a lot, which is still nothing to be ashamed of, but also just, but just like it was in, yeah, yeah, yes, I have secretly been the voracious bookworm all along. Oh yeah, no, it's a lot of books. Like I like at this point, like I'm trying to get better about if something is not working for me from a reading perspective, not like trudging through the rest of it and just sort of returning it to the library because I don't have to read it. But like like over the like I have been sitting with myself this week just going, it feels like I should be doing something. And I'm just trying to like sit down and like drink a cup of tea and read a book again. And like currently I am working through, oh, I'm blanking on the author's name, but let's see, what book would I recommend? Let's see. Oh man, yeah, like I need, like I'm gonna get like back into doing book recommendations for people now that I have free time again. I'm pulling up my Goodreads right now because I can. But okay, so I last year, as somebody who likes reading and somebody who likes cooking and does a lot of reading of cookbooks, uh, Lori Colwyn's work, both she wrote two. She's a fiction writer, but she wrote two collections of essays that were published in Gourmet, Home Cooking and More Home Cooking. And Home Cooking is so good, and it's from like the early '90s, but still just feels very relevant to like just being a normal home cook who doesn't necessarily want to do fancy things, but just wants to cook well. And just that first essay collection, Home Cooking, is just so delightful. I also had not read any of Becky Chambers' work before. on the sci-fi side, and she had a book come out last year, the first book in the Monk and Robot series that I absolutely devoured over the course of a commute and my lunch break, and then was mad because the second book in the series doesn't come out until this July. Let's see. Ollie Reuter, who followed Palindrome for an article about Mystery Hunt in 538 a few years ago, has a book coming out next Tuesday that I got an advanced copy of called Seven Games: A Human History. That is a fabulous history of checkers and chess and backgammon and all these games, and finding just like interesting human stories behind them of just sort of like, why do we play these games? How have we tried to conquer these games computationally? What are the interesting human stories behind them? That comes out Tuesday. Highly recommend it. Really loved it. Let's see. Hanif Abdurakib is a fantastic cultural commentator, like truly one of my favorite authors, because he is a poet, but he also writes a lot about media and a lot about music. And he had a book come out last year called "A Little Devil in America" about black performance, and just sort of writing about Soul Train, writing about Whitney Houston, writing about lots of things. Uh, let's see. Oh yeah, no, like I am always here for book recommendations. Let me know what you like reading, and I will tell you. I will point you in the direction of other authors. Colorization, another book that came out last year about the history. It's Colorization: 100 Years of Black Films in a White World. It's by Will Haygood, and it starts out with. I don't think it was. I don't think it was Coolidge. Whatever president in the early 1900s was super racist, which I know doesn't narrow things down. But was it literally starts with a screening of Birth of a Nation at the White House, and it walks through, because of that, these filmmakers in Chicago started doing stuff because of this. It connects that to like Dorothy Dandridge, to blaxploitation, to all sorts of things. Uh, and it does such a wonderful job of sort of braiding these stories together in a way that's super readable and sort of connects the dots for you. It's just very good. Major Labels came out last year. That is a history of popular music since the Beatles across 7 different genres. So pop, electronica, rock, rap, things like that. Again, really readably written. I should have thrown my Goodreads up here. Next time I do a stream, I will put it there. But like I read a ton of stuff. I read pretty omnivorously across genre, across different sorts of things. I'm always happy to provide book recommendations. But yeah, so that's kind of it. So I will just sort of say again, if you want to follow me online, I'm primarily on Twitter, Ben M. Smith. Like my goal is by the end of the year to potentially be off Facebook. We'll see, because that's still very good for connecting with things like the NPL. Uh, my blog is at goodatinter.net. I will be posting more about I will be posting more about Mystery Hunt there. I've got like a few more posts sort of cooking in the back of my brain. I am one half of the Euro What podcast. If you liked Heart and Peace, if you liked Eurovision, definitely check it out. We are currently in the midst of selection season, which is super fun. Like that's what I spend my Saturday afternoons doing now, is watching Lithuanian television and other types of European television, and just seeing all of the wonderful creativity happening over there. But the podcast is weekly; it comes out on Tuesdays, and yeah, those are the main places to find me. Join the NPL; it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool puzzlers there. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for now, everybody. Have a great week. Is there gonna be a French one? Yeah, there should be a French one. Oh, before I go, one more fun story. Just thinking about this jacket and thinking about how heavy this jacket is like the one thing I did for myself after Mystery Hunt before I returned to the working world was I booked a massage And afterwards, my masseuse was like, "Your neck and shoulders seemed really tight this time." It's like, "Yes." Anyways, I leave that for now. I had a blast doing this. I really look forward to seeing what Teammate does next year, especially because I don't want to win. I just want to see the whole hunt. But yeah, see you later.